Okay. I hope you all can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Awesome. Great. So again, a warm welcome from my side. This is Gaurav speaking from Bangalore, and I would be your host for today's Garage sessions. So before we deep dive, today's use case that we have picked up on popular demand, of course, is how you can integrate SAP Signavio Process Insights with SAP Analytics Cloud and SAP Datasphere and bring intelligence to your business processes. And for that, I am being joined by the experts who have also created this use case and would showcase how you can achieve implementing this use case via step by step. For the colleagues who are joining us for the first time, just wanted to also highlight that what is this meeting about and what we are doing, and what is Garage. So the whole motivation or the idea behind having Garage, SAP BTP Garage, is to bring out new use cases, bring out end-to-end use cases to the ecosystem, which are built on top of BTP, leveraging SAP BTP services, which enables you and your businesses to implement these use cases at your landscape. And for that, I am being joined by Anika, Jonas, and Stefan, who are our solution advisors from the SAP Signavio team. So thanks to them for taking out time. And also a very big and a heartful thanks to you who have made SAP BTP Garage a huge success in the past with your participation, with your questions, with your requests to get additional use cases. So please keep that support coming in. Along with that, there are other events that we as a team do. SAP Garage is one such event that we are rolling it out. We also have some in-person and hands-on workshops on different pillars of SAP BTP. On this screen, you would only see the business AI workshops, but we also have integration suite, which is already running right now in Miami, build code workshops, and also SAP Datasphere workshops on the roadmap. So please, I would like to motivate you to check SAP Discovery Center events section to keep yourself updated and also share the registration links with you and your colleagues so that you can register yourself and learn from the experts in person. So feel free to explore that as well. With that, I would like to hand over to Anika, Jonas, and Stefan to deep dive on this use case of integrating Signavio Process Insights with SAC and Datasphere. Over to you guys.
Great. Thanks, Gaurav. Then I will also share my screen. Okay, let me know when you can see it.
Yeah,
Yes, we can
go on.
Very good. Yeah, also a very warm welcome from my side. Thanks for joining in today. We have prepared a really interesting use case, I think, for all of you who are maybe in the BTP side. Yeah, you can learn more something about SAP Signavio today and also vice versa, because this is what we're going to show you today, basically showing you the integration of both worlds, so the BTP and SAP Signavio, which also is about fostering and increasing the awareness and of course the adoption, yeah, of both worlds. And we want to show you what is possible and what are the benefits when bringing this together. And when I say we, I'm joined today, as Gaurav already mentioned, by my colleagues Annika and Jonas. We're from the SAP Signavio Solution Advisory team, MEE. And yeah, thanks to the great initiative also of my colleague Jonas, this was set up, and now we have not only this mission, which you will see in a second, there are already other missions available, but I will come to that in a second. Maybe short overview for the agenda today. I will give you an introduction about this use case we've built. Then we will have a deeper look into that by Annika with a demo directly in the system. And then Jonas will wrap it up and also give you an outlook of what is going to come also next and what we have in the pipeline. So maybe to start off, for all of you who are maybe not that familiar yet with the Discovery Center, so this is basically a central resource, an entry portal for everyone who's interested to discover more, learn and try out what is available in the BTP, what are services which could be for help and for use, for maybe for your use cases as well, and also about, of course, AI features. So it provides plenty of free resources. For example, you can find reference architectures there. There are these use cases, which are called missions, yeah, basically also what we have built, which are step-by-step guides for you to rebuild this by yourself and, of course, learn then about all the way how you can set this up. And oftentimes you also have demo videos for that, which really guides you through step by step to make it even easier for you to get this done by yourself. And of course, there's then the expert guidance of topic expert, which can help you as well, and the SAP community. So as you can see here, there are already 4 missions available today and live for BTP and SAP Signavio. So if you just open the Discovery Center and you search for Signavio, we will get this same overview here. What we will focus on today is this mission you can see on the left. So the integration of SAP Signavio Process Insights with SAP Analytics Cloud and Datasphere. So let's dive a bit into that. This is basically about operational reporting, which we also have, of course, in Process Insights, but we can even go one step further using the BTP with Datasphere and Analytics Cloud. So what are the benefits of using the tools? So as you might know, there's already a multitude of content available, which is called business content on the BTP side, so for Analytics Cloud and Datasphere. And this is really of help also in this use case. So that means there are already out-of-the-box connections. There are pre-built dashboards for you to use and also data flows and data models. That means you don't have to start from scratch for this integration. You can use this business content, import it into your tenant, and then you really have a really quick start off. Yeah, you just have to adapt some of the, let's say you have your own tenant and you have to adapt, for example, which tenant is using this connection. And then you can leverage this pre-built content and the dashboard and start using the reports in SAC. And of course, as Datasphere is part of this, you have a great data layer, because this is exactly what is also one of the key focus areas of Datasphere, bringing a harmonized data layer into this whole process. So that means when the data is coming from SAP Signavio and then flows into Datasphere, you have a great opportunity maybe also to add other data sets, which you might also have in Datasphere, combine these together, and then use it in SAC to have a really holistic reporting of all of that. And talking about SAC, I mean, this is then really the focus tool for all of your business intelligence and reporting functionality, which means there you can have, of course, the drill down into the data with a multitude of different widgets. You can also have custom widgets. So this is basically many options for you then to really report and visualize the data. And for example, you could then also think about maybe doing some data loads over time, so you could also track your performance. So how is the process initiative running? Yeah? Do I see performance increases over time? For example, looking at an automation rate of a process, which we will also later see in the dashboard Annika is showing us. So really a great combination of these tools. And how is this possible, or what is involved in this from the Signavio side? So maybe for those of you who are not so familiar with this side, I've brought just one slide to give a quick overview. So basically here we are in this analysis part of the Signavio modules. So this is basically 2 modules. The focus here is the Process Insight module, which is basically the rapid mining solution, giving you a quick overview of how the processes are running, with pre-built dashboards also here and KPIs. And this data is then provided to Datasphere. And how is this provided? As you can see, we have these KPIs and we have the process flow. So this data resides, of course, already in Process Insights. But let's assume you want to report, for example, data from multiple processes. So in this case, we would have the purchase order item creation to invoice receipt creation, so one specific process. And each process then has its own dashboard. Yeah, this is a standard. But thinking about combining these, so having, for example, 2 or 3 or 4 process data in one dashboard, this is then where SAC comes in handy. And out of the box, there are different APIs available in SAP Signavio Process Insights, depending on, of course, the area maybe of the process you want to report on. For example, finance or sourcing and procurement, also manufacturing, sales, supply chain, and also sustainability, compliance, and enterprise strategy. So basically, Datasphere can plug into this API, pull data which is of interest to you. Then you could think about, like I said, harmonizing it maybe, or bringing together other data sets, and then report on that holistically in SAC. So this is the idea you can see here. Starting at Process Insights from Signavio, then you have basically the data layer in SAP Datasphere, and you can report on that live in SAP Analytics Cloud based on the data you have in Datasphere. So basically the live connection, you don't have to replicate it again. The data resides then in Datasphere, and you can have all the functionality of reporting in SAC. And this is basically a really nice combination of both worlds for you to have a harmonized and holistic reporting in SAP Analytics Cloud. And now I think you're all eager to see how this looks in the system. And with that, I would say over to you, Annika.
Yes, thank you. And I will share my screen. And we can jump immediately into some of the systems because we want to see, first of all, how this looks live. And maybe also, since probably some of you are not familiar with Signavio as well, what are some of the challenges in Signavio and why we need this integration with SAC. So first of all, a little bit on that and a quick demo, and then we will go through the step-by-step guide in the discovery missions so that you can also see how you can set it up, and in the end also see how easy it is, as there are only a few steps and much out-of-the-box pre-configured content, which makes all of our lives easier, I would say. All right, so starting off, as you can see, I am in the first tool, Process Insights, which is obviously the Signavio side, as we can also see above here. But what is Process Insights? Stefan briefly touched on that, but maybe a few more words to give you a better understanding. So Process Insights is one of our mining or analytics solutions within Signavio to get transparency into end-to-end processes. So something like procurement or sales or finance. And this tool basically has lots of pre-configured metrics or key figures, however you want to call them, in the tool itself already. So we can see here we have process flows and performance indicators. And basically, as soon as you connect your Process Insights tenant, which is a cloud solution, to your SAP system, like an ECC system, for example, or S4, all those metrics will start to collect data and they will be filled out. And in the end, you will have a huge catalog of metrics. There are several hundred already available. That's what we call out-of-the-box character, and you can start to analyze. So, for example, you can go ahead and choose one of the end-to-end processes that you're interested in. Let's just choose source to pay for now. And yeah, you can dive into some of the key figures on several categories, I would say. So something like backlog, if there are many documents that are just old and can be deleted, some master data usage. Maybe there's also some potential to clean up master data that is not used frequently or something like that. But you can, first of all, see there's a lot of key figures in here, which is great. And if you're looking for something specific, I think it's very easy to find it. But if you are someone maybe even from the C-level, which wants to ask or answer very broad questions, so something like, what is the automation rate in my whole company? It can be quite cumbersome to find this information because it's just stored in several places. So first of all, you can drill down into all of the end-to-end processes, which we have seen. But within those end-to-end processes, the automation rate, for example, is also stored in different indicators. So within the procurement process, obviously, we have different documents. So for example, financial documents like invoices or the purchase order itself, and they all have a specific automation rate. So here we see they also deviate a lot. And then we also have so-called process flows, which also store information on the automation. So here, just a very quick example. Here we're looking at how purchase orders basically are processed. So when is the supplier invoice created and when is it paid? And below here, we get more information on those different documents. And for example, we can see here that 80% of purchase orders are manually created. So that's a third area where we can find information on the automation rate. So as I mentioned, if you know you are working in procurement, for example, and you want to figure out what's the automation rate of an invoice creation, I guess that's pretty straightforward to find. But if you want to not only see the automation of one end-to-end process, but from all of them, that's where it becomes quite tricky to get all of the information, first of all, and then to calculate kind of a holistic key figure out of that. And that's the whole idea of the SAC integration, because we can pick the data from the different places, consolidate it, or have this holistic calculation. And then within the SAC, of course, make use of the very deep analytical capabilities, which can help to drill even deeper. So I think enough talking. Let me show you how it would look like in the SAC, for example. For the automation rate dashboard. So we can already see we have here pre-calculated the overall automation across all the end-to-end processes. And then below that, we have the split into different end-to-end processes like source to pay, which we've just had a look at. And there we can find the different documents like the purchase order or supplier invoice, which were stored in different areas in Signavio. But now we have them all in one screen. And it also calculates the overall automation rate for source to pay, for instance. And you can then even drill deeper into the different areas. I opened it here already for the purchase requisition item creation, where you can then, analyze the top 10 plans, document types, and so on to find some patterns, which in the end is helpful or even essential to improve, which is what you ultimately want to do if you have a look in your processes. So that's a very brief introduction into the challenge and also the solution that we achieve with integrating with SAC. So pretty straightforward. So now, wait, I have to, because the Teams bar is on top here. Okay, I have to go into the Discovery Center because that's our starting point, of course. We already covered basically all the information that's in the overview page, so the use case, the challenge, and how you get there. So we can skip that for now. And now what's the most interesting, I would say, is how do you get there? So how do you build up this integration? How do you set up those different tools to work together? And that's what we find in the project board, where we have the step-by-step instruction. So first of all, we have the phase of the discovery, which is basically just some learning, some material for the different tools, like, in this case, Analytics Cloud, Datasphere, Process Insights, and so on, just so you can get familiar with all of the solutions if maybe you're not aware of Signavio right now. And then we have some prerequisites in the preparation phase. So for example, you have to set up the SAC, you have to set up the Datasphere, and also Process Insights as well. So you can find information in here how you can set those up. And then the most interesting part for our use case today is found in the development phase, where we then have the actual steps that we can take now once everything is set up to integrate those three tools. So let's just jump in and see what we have to do. And don't worry, I know it's a lot of text in here, but I'm here to summarize it for you, because in the end it is pretty simple. and not that confusing as it might seem now. So yeah, just watch and see what I do, and I hope it gets clearer than in the description itself. So starting off, the first step is to make Process Insights ready to get the API or the connection established so that the data can ultimately be pushed out into the Datasphere. And this we do in the BTP cockpit. So I guess I'm assuming that this should be familiar to most of you. So basically what the prerequisite is to start is to set up Process Insights on the BTP. We do have a booster available, so you can just run that, and in the end you're left with the SAP account that looks like that. So you have your space, you have your keys and your subscriptions in there. So you don't really have to do anything manual here. The only thing manual that we now have to do is to create the API plan, which also includes the API service key, which is then, in the end required to add into the Datasphere. So those two can be connected and the data flow can be established. And how you do that, you can see I already did that in here, but it's also very simple. So you can just navigate to the Create button on the top here, then select the service, which is Process Insights, and then select the API plan. And then in the end, just hit Create, and the service key or the service plan will be generated, and it will result in a key that looks like that. Don't worry, you only need some information, specifically the client ID and the client secret later. But yeah, for now, that's it. And we're gonna revisit once we're doing the setup in the Datasphere. So as I promised, very easy. That's already the first step done. So we can move on, and you can navigate in the Discovery Center directly to the next card. So that's also pretty simple to keep track where you are at right now. So next up, we're already moving to the Datasphere phase, which you have not seen in the demo because as Stefan mentioned in the beginning as well, the Datasphere is just acting as the data layer, kind of in the background, and then you can have the actual data visualization in the SAC. So that's why we just start to work on that now. And here we also have the steps in here, and basically it's very easy because we do have the content package, the business content already pre-configured. So the steps that you can find in here, or a summary of that, is just to download or install the business content package, and that will generate all the connections, and we just have to adjust those a little bit, and that's it. So that's basically summarized everything that's in this step. So let's see how this looks like. I'm just jumping into my Datasphere instance. And the first thing, as I mentioned, that you want to do is to install the business content, which you can do via the semantic onboarding step. I already did that just to spare you some loading time, as it might take some minutes. So we can directly jump into, for example, the spaces, because once you've installed the business content, it will create the space called SAP Content, where all the connections are stored within. So we already have it set up. That's a very good sign. So we can jump immediately into the connections, which they are already here. But right now is the time where we have to add some information from the service key from the BTP. So for example, I can just select one of the connections, which, by the way, they will always start with SAP_SIG for Signavio. So it's very easy to identify them as well. I can go ahead and edit those. And in here, there are three things that you have to edit or add. The client ID and the client secret, which, as you remember, we do have in the service key in the BTP. So yeah, you can just copy those out and add them in there. And then you also have to add the URL, which is also contained in the service key. And then you have to add a specific suffix for the different types of APIs, so finance, sourcing, supply chain, and so on, the stuff that we saw on the slide earlier. And this information, it's looking a bit complex, I would say, but it's actually pretty easy because it is stored in the mission as well. So we have this table here, and you can easily see in which connection you have to add which suffix to your URL. All right, so obviously then save that and do that for all of the APIs, which are just, I don't know, a couple. So it shouldn't take you too long to adjust this information. And once you're done, there's only one thing left to do in the Datasphere, which is to replicate the data, which is also a pretty easy step. So you can go ahead in the data builder, and we replicate the data with the so-called task chains, which are also pre-configured. So you just have to go ahead, select the one, in this case, for the automation rate dashboard, which we're trying to implement, and then just go ahead and hit run, which I already did, so I don't have to do it now, but yeah, you just have to run, everything is replicated in the background, and then you're good to go. All right, we are moving very quick because the setup is so easy. So we have already completed step 4. We replicated the data. And now kind of the most exciting part, I think, is about to happen, because we can move on to the Analytics Cloud, where now all the data comes to life and is being visualized in the end. So let's jump to the Analytics Cloud. And in here, we also are working with out-of-the-box business content. So it's similar to the Datasphere. You just have to import this business content, which is including the story dashboard. And then, yeah, you're basically good to go. So you can go ahead and visit the content network and select the business content category here. And then you can search for insights. For me, it is at the top here already, because I already did install the package. But let me show you how this would look like. You will get a description, of course, of what you're about to do, but then you can just go ahead and import that package, and everything for you is done automatically. All right. And that's basically all there is to it, because now you can go ahead and visit the storyboard, which we've seen in the beginning already. So yeah, you already know how it goes and how to use the dashboard, and you're good to go. So let's just go back for a quick summary, because yeah, this step we also concluded. And then we already finished the end of the mission. And yeah, you're finished. So I guess that was pretty easy, and I hope you feel confident now to start on your own. And in the end, I think we also have a support tab in here. So if you do have any questions, you can reach out through that support channel to us or our colleagues as well if you need any support. But I guess it should be pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Yeah, so I think now Jonas takes over and talks a little bit more about what missions we're planning next to deliver.
Correctly. So in the Discovery Center, Annika just showed us this use case, but of course we made some more. And I want to explain a little bit about these use cases. So for example, this one, here we explain how to integrate SAP Datasphere with SAP Process Intelligence, a process mining tool from SAP. And we thought, so Annika, Stefan, and I thought, how can we make it as easy as possible to understand what's going on in this mission? And you want to understand it in the first, I don't know, 5 minutes or in the first minute. You don't want to spend an hour and then noticing, okay, this is not useful for my case or my problem I want to solve. And especially if you are new to, for example, process mining project, or you are new to developing with the BTP, it's maybe hard to understand based on a description like that or based on a project board like that, how to do it, even if we made a lot of pictures and easy descriptions into it. So that's why we thought we improve everything and add to every demo, to every case from Signavio, a video. And when you click on that, you will get a video from Annika or Stefan or from myself, where the person is, in this case, Stefan is explaining step by step how to integrate Datasphere with the process mining tool. Also in the other cases where, for example, Annika and I describe how to use SAP Build Process Automation, so a workflow and APR tool to connect it with the process mining tool. So we thought with that, you get the best view on what to expect and how hard is it really to do. Yeah, so that's like the little surprise, because when I started at SAP, I also had a view into the Discovery Center. And when you're new to a new topic, new product, something like that, it's not always that easy for you. So that's why we thought we'd produce videos to make it more easy to understand. Okay, but maybe based on the 4 use cases we published, it's not what you're looking for when you're working with the BTP and Signavio. So we thought, what other use cases maybe are useful for you? So we are working on 4 more use cases. The first one is the SAP Integration Suite as a data provider from cloud solutions to SAP Process Intelligence. So in this case, we assumed, okay, it makes sense to use the integration suite to collect informations and give them to the process mining tool, to SAP Signavio Process Intelligence, because this is something customers are doing when they have solutions like ServiceNow or Salesforce in usage, or other non-SAP cloud solutions. So we thought we can also describe this case to make it as easy, accessible as possible within video and pictures and so on. The next use case we are working on is the integration suite, and the integration suite in this case receives data from the process mining tool, Process Intelligence, via an action. In this case, we assume that you did process mining for a process or for all processes in your company, and then based on that, you want that something else happens. For example, that the integration suite gives the data to an application or pushes the data to a warehouse or something else. Whatever you like, you know, the integration suite is very powerful in connecting different solutions as a middleware. We also added this use case, integrate SAP Event Mesh in SAP Signavio via an action. To understand it a little bit more, event can be, for example, create a sales order, create purchase order, or purchase requisition. And in this case, if you mine your data, process mine your data, and you have an event, then something has to happen, like a push notification, something like that. And last but not least, Annika and Stefan showed you the solution SAP Signavio Process Insights. Process Insights also can give you recommendations. Annika showed you at the beginning, okay, in this process you have manual work in this task or in this area. So maybe you can reduce it. You have potential here to be more efficient. And okay, you get this information from Signavio, but what should I do now? How to go on, right? So based on the recommendation from Signavio, you can take this recommendation and start with a template in SAP Build Process Automation, a tool to automate it, your processes as it named, of course. So in this, we want to give you guidelines how to do so. And this case, the process insights, process automation case will be published in Q1. So we assume in March. In these 3 cases with the integration suite, we assume we will publish them at the end of Q2. If you now sit in front of your laptop or smartphone and you think, okay, I know Signavio a little bit and I missed something here, I have a very good idea or something, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, via mail, or whatever, and send the idea. And we will think about it if we can make it possible to write down a guideline for that. The only rule we have is for us three, so for Stefan, Annika, and myself, we combine Signavio with the BTP because we publish in the Discovery Center. Yes, and that's it from my side. So these are the cases we are working on at the moment. And with these words, I want to pass on or give the microphone back to you, Gaurav. And I want to thank everyone for spending your time with us. I hope that you could get some new informations from us. And yeah, feel free to reach out. Gaurav?
Thanks for the wonderful session and also the nice demo, colleagues. I already see there are some questions in the chat. Also, just an heads up, like I already see some of the colleagues in the round starting the missions parallelly. So that's really cool. I already see the curiosity to learn on this use case. So let me take the recent one. So yes, we would share the slides as well as the recording just after this session in few days or so. So the recording would be updated on our YouTube channel, also on our Garage page. Just give us few days for that. And I already see the questions that were posted, and colleagues, you already answered it. People are also asking a demo for this use case that was shown today, which I think Jonas, you already mentioned that. I think Stefan mentioned that it's already in review and would be published soon, right?
Yeah, the demo for this use case is in progress, and with the next update will be also available. For the other three use cases, we have already a video demo available in the mission.
Awesome. I think other questions are already answered. I already see some hands raised. So Ronnie, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, and then Joseph.
Yes, just a question. I noticed on in your demo that you had analytics around the manual curated orders. What about Signavio, and say you had electronic or EDI orders that perhaps pass through the integration suite? Could you plug on analytics for like when received, you know, successful for the automation there?
Yeah, that depends on the key figure. But for example, for one of the procurement flows, we do extract also or see in which manner the invoices, for example, are imported. So you can actually see those come in via EDI or via BAPI interface or something like that. So yeah, that will be covered depending on the key figure, but in some instances it is there definitely.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And also for your question, Joseph, please, you can unmute yourself and ask your query.
Hi. I have a diagram. I have a doubt with this architecture diagram, solution diagram in the Discovery Center. So, as I understand this, right? So we are extracting the data from S/4HANA to Signavio and Signavio to Datasphere and Datasphere to Analytics Cloud, and we are building some dashboards and reports, right?
Exactly.
But okay, that arrow marks are reverse, so I'm just confused because it's reverse that arrow mark.
Let me check.
Yeah.
You mean that the arrow?
In the meantime,
yeah.
Someone asked in the chat, can you describe a use case where Signavio links to SAP Build Process Automation and the process is simplified? In the use case, for example, when you use process mining and the result is that you have blocked invoices which are not touched since 30 days, then an RPR or a workflow should start. So always when you use process mining and you touch something like that, something you want to avoid normally, then an automation starts. This is the use case we describe in the mission. And the integration between Signavio process mining, so intelligence, and build process automation is pretty much built in the solution already. So the hardest part is to find on your BTP the service keys, connect your Signavio with the BTP, and then describe with Signal when the process automation should trigger.
Jonas, can I ask a question based on your answer?
Yes, sure.
Thank you for describing the use case to me. So, for example, how action is the trigger, right? The event that will get triggered for the RP.
You can define when.
Okay.
The when with Signal, you can define in Signavio when to start the automation, and you can have, of course, many different triggers. So it's not only one process you can automate, you can have 1 to n processes automated with Signavio.
Are they standard triggers that we can use? Is there a library, or do we have to script that signal?
Annika, can you help me out with that?
Yeah, sorry, I was just distracted. What was the question? How we can trigger the actions?
Yeah, the actions in SAP Build Process Automation, do we have a library, or do we always need to start from the scratch with Signal?
Yeah, I don't think there is a library.
I'm sure there is none.
So we have to basically create a script for the action to trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me
depends.
maybe phrase it like this.
Yeah.
You don't have to create a script which basically sends the request or triggers the action. You just have to define basically the condition when it should be triggered.
That's the right description. Yes.
Okay.
You can just say if, for example, this value is below X, then trigger the action. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's much simpler.
When you watch the demo video, you see the Signal script is like that long. That's
okay.
it.
Okay.
It's
you can use
5
drag and
lines
drop
or 6 lines. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
There are those blocks that you can drag and drop, and then the signal code is even, I think, auto-generated to some extent. You might have to edit it, but nothing that.
Is there any chance that you can use Joule and I can give a prompt for it to create that signal code for me? Is it in the roadmap?
Joule compatible? Is Joule okay with Signal? Never tested it, but I guess in build code, why not?
In the future, I also haven't tested it yet, but I guess in the future,
I mean, the 5 lines we wrote by our own.
No, that's very interesting. So the use case you described, Jonas, where you said blocked invoices, for example. Yes. So if there is a signal, can we say call maybe Vim or some other application to do the processing rather than trigger just a workflow? Maybe vendor invoice management.
Okay. You have different actions you can use from the process mining. For example, sending mails, trigger an event mesh, trigger integration suite, build process automation, and I think there's also number 5, which I'm missing at the moment. But they are like in the tool integrated. If you want to say, okay, I want to go from process mining out into a different application, then you need to add them with the integration suite or something else.
Okay, integration suite can call that application. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Goody. Annika, I think you were in the process of solving a question.
Yeah, I already checked it.
Yeah.
Maybe I posted the answer in the chat,
Yeah.
but it does look like the diagram is the wrong way around, but I already explained it. I think it's just that we use the arrows for showing which application is connected with which, but it can be easily confused to the data flow, which then we would have to make the arrows the other way around. So we will have to figure out how we can change that if we swap the arrows. So I have a, I don't know, explanation or something.
Yeah, it's a good
But that's a
point.
good hint. Yeah.
Yeah, we also had this discussion, I think, at some point, but
Yeah.
looking at the other available reference models, which are basically built the same way, so showing you the direction of, for example, HTTP requests. Yeah, we aligned with that way of building the diagrams, which only shows then basically how the flow in terms of requests would be. But the data flow, you're right, is then basically in some way the other way around. Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback.
And one question is, what happens if SAP Datasphere is not in the company portfolio because the company choose a different business warehouse solution? Can we also get access from the insights data to SAP Analytics Cloud?
I am not sure. It might be possible via integration suite. I think that's something we're also trying to figure out right now. So I'm not too sure. Maybe it's not pre-configured, but you can get the data from Process Insights also via Excel files. So that would be a very manual way. But we can check if there are some outgoing APIs
So
other than Datasphere.
This is Gianfranco. I made this question. So what happened in general? So if we have a plan to not use Datasphere as a solution, replacing BW, for example. No, you know, Datasphere is the new BW, the evolution of Data Warehouse Cloud, and moving with the external partner provider, like we have many in the market, like GCP and so on. So how will be possible consume full SAP data? How is possible automate everything with the Signavio and have this automatic beautiful dashboard with SAP Analytics Cloud and have the purchasing automation to fix and repair with the intelligent engine of Signavio.
If you're talking about
I'm doing this question because I'm an SAP native person. So but actually,
if you're using a different kind of data warehouse solution, then you can use from Signavio the APIs, and maybe you have a little bit more manual work before setting everything up. Because in Datasphere, it's like you can easily drag and drop it and then processes on to SAC. But if you're using a non-SAP solution, let's assume a cloud, non-SAP cloud solution, then you maybe need to spend a little bit more setup time in the data warehouse of your choice. But it should be possible. The documentation of SAP Signavio Process Insights is public available, and there you see what endpoints you can use, for example, for an ETL pipeline.
Yeah, and maybe I think the question has two parts, Gianfranco. Yeah, the one part you mentioned with the action and intelligence, this is basically you don't need Datasphere in that case because intelligence can, for example, then trigger another system, and it's not the data is not based on Datasphere. And regarding the insights question with SAC, so basically with the APIs are basically providing an OData. So I think it can be possible with SAC in some extent, but the overall idea of the mission, of course, was to bring together all the data from all processes. And this is, of course, much better done with a tool like Datasphere or the data warehousing tool, for example, than directly using SAC, because in SAC, the focus is more on the business intelligence part and not on the data. harmonization then.
No, perfect. Understand, Stefan. I don't want to monopolize this chart, but what do you think about extracting data into external tools, non-SAP tools like Datasphere from S4? So, what kind of issue a company may have using non-native SAP tools like ETL, non-SAP? So, how SAP make possible to distribute SAP data outside of non-SAP tools?
Is it now related to Signavio, or is it more?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. But finally,
okay.
Looking on the horizon of everything, to have everything integrated in a platform like SAP BTP, I see some difficulties in the future, but it's not. Yes, it's not related to Signavio. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, this is a more broader question, I would say, which is not directly related to Signavio, of course. I mean, there are some ways to extract the data, of course. But of course, you also, I think from our side, I mean, exactly with Datasphere, this is the point where it makes sense to not export it to other systems, because you remain the business content intact and don't lose all the metadata and all the business context. So, but yeah, in this, I think just come back to us. Yeah, we can also discuss it, I think, later on, because this is then too broad now, the horizon. Yeah.
Awesome. So if there are no further questions, I would really like to thank our three presenters and also to the participants who made out time. And also thanks for the great conversation. This is all about Garage, you know. I hope this session helped you to know how Signavio Process Insights work. And yeah, I would really motivate all of you to explore the missions, explore the Discovery Center, and try out the use cases. With that, I would like to close this session right now, and thanks everyone for your time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.